Welcome to the Lemons and Pineapples podcast, the personal development podcast for folks who want more fulfillment, connection, purpose, and joy in life. I'm your host, Emma O'Brien, a no-nonsense coach, a seasoned entrepreneur, photographer, rescue dog mum, and happy life enthusiast. Each week on the podcast, I share tools, tips, and strategies, amazing guest interviews, and uplifting conversations that will help you improve all areas of your life. Let's dive in. Hi, folks. Welcome to episode 16 of the Lemons and Pineapples podcast with me, Emma O'Brien. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you how to find your purpose in life. It is Mental Health Awareness Month. It's currently May, and there is a very big link between feeling good, feeling happy, and feeling content and having purpose in life. And I'm going to share with you some questions you can ponder on to kind of help you really reconnect with that if you're feeling a bit lost. And I just want to share a bit of information really with you about what purpose is and why it matters and why it's so important to us. I think often the starting point for purpose can be what we do, but really purpose is actually also who we are. Unless you have a large trust fund, the chances are you spend quite a bit of your time at work. And I think it is really important that we have some sense of purpose and a sense of why and a sense of meaning in the work that we do. It's very, very difficult to keep getting up and dragging yourself to go and do a job that you hate every single day. And if you are in that situation, I would invite you to reflect a little bit on these questions that I'm going to share with you, and also to start to have a look at what else could I be doing that does bring me some joy and contentment and a sense of purpose? And are there shifts I could make to actually really change the work I'm doing so that it is more meaningful? I don't ever advocate anybody, unless you have a large trust fund, I don't advocate anybody ever quitting a job and going all in with starting something else with no resources. I don't think burning bridges is the most useful thing you can do for yourself if you are reliant on a job that you don't like for your financial stability. But you can start to make changes with that. So let's just unpack a little bit. What is purpose? And I think purpose is really, for me, if I define what it is from my perspective, it is waking up each day, knowing what I'm going to do with the day, knowing that I'm going to be doing some work or an activity or spending time with people that is, for the most part, going to feel good. I think you can't live a life, I don't think, where every day and every waking moment you're magic and sparkles. If you're doing that, either you're high or you are really in complete denial. Life is full of ups and downs of emotions. It's learning to ride them. It's learning to process the big, difficult ones that come up and learning to enjoy the moments of wonderful ones that also come up. Life is always in flux. That's the way it is. But purpose really is, for the most part, waking up and going, okay, cool. I know what I'm doing with my day. I have a plan. The work I do has some sort of meaning. It adds value to other people. The work I do enables me to have the income to go and do things in my spare time that are enjoyable or adventurous or I can be curious about. I think it's the meaning in work is that the work allows you the freedom to do other things if you don't, perhaps the work isn't that enjoyable necessarily, but it's a means to an end and it provides you with a sense of purpose somewhere else. We can often balance out a lack of purpose in one area of life by having another area that is feeling really purposeful. Of course, in an ideal world, we'd all be bouncing around going, I love my life, it's great in all aspects, but let's keep it real here. That's not always possible. But I think it really is, it's about work that's fulfilling. It's about knowing that what you do, whether that's at work or in your personal life or in some capacity, makes a positive difference for somebody else. We are creatures of community. We love to be able to do things that make us feel valued by other people. A bit of a self-worth piece in there, but I'm not going to go down that route here. This is, acts of kindness, that you do because you want to do, not because you have to, not for the applause, but you do them. And in doing them, you feel good because it makes somebody else feel good. I think that is purpose right there. The opposite of purpose is being very stuck. I know from my own personal experience of going through an episode of burnout, I had ended up doing work, my business, my creation that was created without planning, my creation that meant I was getting up every day and just flogging my guts out for very little pay, for people who didn't value me, and just to get by. And it led me on a path of burnout. It led me into a crumpled heap on the floor because fundamentally what I was doing didn't matter to me or anybody else. And it was making no difference to me or anybody else. No purpose, especially if that's happening for a long time. And I think if it's coming from work and the purposeless work makes you unhappy, and then that unhappiness kind of seeps out into other areas of your life where it all feels a bit purposeless, it's a one-way ticket to depression. I think the majority of people who are sitting with depression are sitting with depression because life doesn't have very much meaning for them, because they have lost a sense of purpose. And the challenge with that is, because I know, because this happened to me, and I can't speak for everybody, but I can certainly share my own experience. When I hit purposelessness, and we're going back nearly 10 years now, I had no idea how to process it or what was going on for me. I didn't have the self-awareness. I went to the GP and I said, life feels a bit pointless for me. I'm crying all the time and I can't cope with anything. And it's not, I don't feel good. I was literally handed a box of antidepressants. Here you go, you're depressed. Excellent. And I wasn't depressed, I was burnt out. And had that doctor asked me, what's happening in your life? Has something changed? Has something shifted? Is there something going on? Can you identify when you went from feeling good to feeling utterly shite? Then we might have unpacked it a little bit and not being prescribed antidepressants. Many, many people in this life are having their purposelessness medicated. Nobody is helping them actually climb out of the hole of depression. They're just being given tablets that effectively say to those symptoms of depression and purposelessness and pointlessness, shut up. We're not going to listen to you. Shut up. And unfortunately, that is not the solution. Our big feelings, anger, disappointment, rage, frustration, depression, they're all signposts that something isn't quite right. And if you don't listen to them, you cannot pinpoint what is not right and you cannot change it. We have to listen to what those feelings are telling us about our lives that are not on track, on purpose. When you listen to them, you can start to make changes. For the most part, I think, things like depression are caused by a change in circumstances of some description. And in order to get out of the depression, we have to change the circumstances again, or change your perspective on the circumstances so you can move forwards. You apply antidepressants, you're putting a band-aid on that. A caveat here. When you look at the history of things like antidepressant medication, it was designed to be used in the short term. It was designed for when people fall into a deep, dark hole to help them feel better enough to start to climb out of that hole. And that requires some other support. And that might be support from a therapist, but again, I'm also quite opinionated about therapy, so maybe we'll save that for another episode. But I think also there needs to be a plan. And the trouble I have found with therapy is it delves backwards. And it delves backwards, and sometimes you need to unpack what's happened in your past to be able to move forwards, 100%. However, there has to be a plan to move forwards. And I think sometimes what can happen is that therapy can just keep you stuck in the past. And then you need to keep having the antidepressants because every time you go to therapy, the past is dredged up, you feel awful, and you need to make the awful feeling go away. What's needed is to be able to go, okay, here we are. Maybe you need a short course of antidepressants to help you feel better enough to be able to take the action to move yourself forwards. Most psychiatric meds were designed for short-term use to help people climb out of the edge of the hole and then feel better enough to move forwards. They weren't designed for people to be on them for a lifetime. And unfortunately, that is what's happening. And that is where I massively object to the use of these meds. I'm going to climb off my soapbox now. But that is where I sit with it. And I think that is the power of coaching. It's the power of having somebody help you shift your perspective on what's going on and have a plan to move forwards. That is what I do for my clients. Rather than, and it's helping people deal with their big feelings and have safe ways to process them so they're not overwhelmed by them. We're not taught these things as children. We're not taught these things at school. And then we're told to take tablets to shut these feelings up. So how on earth are we supposed to move forwards? Anyway, if you are listening to this and you are feeling stuck and you're feeling like you don't know how to move forwards and you're feeling that life is just going round and round and every day is the same and it's kind of you're going on a bit of a downward spiral. Here are a few questions that you can reflect on just to see if you can get a bit of a spark of hope ignited and a few ideas of how you might want to start going in a forward direction. We can find purpose in all sorts of places. It doesn't just have to be at work. Ideally, because most of us spend our time mostly at work, it would be at work because then when you feel good at work, you generally go home and you feel good and then your relationships are good. You know, things that aren't right in one area spill out everywhere. So it has got to be managed. But it might be that you have a job that doesn't really light your fire, but it pays really well. And then you find your purpose in doing some volunteer work somewhere, or you find your purpose in playing, doing stuff, having adventures with your kids at the weekend and in the holidays. It'll look different for everybody. There isn't a prescriptive thing with this. I'm going to share some questions that will help you just reflect a little bit. So, what would I do if I wasn't being paid or getting a round of applause for something I did? If nobody was watching, what would you spend your time doing if you could just had free reign on that? What activities in your day right now really fill your cup and really give you a sense of contentment? What feels good for you in your day right now? What do I do or what can I do to make life better for somebody else? What qualities do other people compliment me on? What are my core values for life and work? Why do I do the job or the work that I do? Who do I really enjoy spending time with? And this is one of my favorite questions. Just suspend your disbelief for a moment. If I could do anything with my life, pretend for a moment you have access, free reign to Donald Trump's bank account and his unlimited Amex cards. Pretend you've got that. Money doesn't matter. There's loads of it. You can do whatever you want. What would you do with your life and your time? Might go on a shopping spree to start with, but again, what would you do if money wasn't an issue? If it wasn't an object, you didn't have to work for money, everything was paid for, you never had to actually go and do paid work ever again, what would you do with your time? It's a really great question to ponder because you might find you'd still be doing what you're doing right now. I know for me, the answer to that would be I'd still be doing what I do right now, but I'd be doing it from a retreat center. But I'd still be doing the same thing. So I know I'm very much on purpose with the work that I do, and I'm very lucky and I'm very fortunate to have that. But it's been quite an intentional thing for me. When we know that our life has meaning and when we know that what we do adds value to the other people around us, it feels good. Purpose really is about it's a feeling. It feels good. You feel fulfilled, you feel engaged, you have a motivation for getting up in the morning. A sense of purpose is a really great way to boost your dopamine. It's an intrinsic driver, and our brains love to reward us when we do things. And I think it's having a goal, knowing that everything you do is moving you closer to that goal, seeing results. I think part of it is seeing some sort of result from the action that we take, whether that is somebody says, thank you, that was wonderful. That will give you a dopamine boost. When you look at people who are depressed and who are stuck and who are struggling, they are low on dopamine because they might be doing something and there is no reward for it. There's no point. And then you just think, well, why am I doing this? And it's very, very difficult to motivate yourself when what you do doesn't matter. So it's about finding a way to make what you do matter. If you want to take this next level, I have prepped 30 questions that you can reflect on with your journal. You can do it you can share them with a friend to help you really dig into what's going well in life for you right now. And you can, when you know what's going well in life for you right now, you can go, how can I do more of that? And you can also reflect on where in life are you being completely drained by the things that you're doing? Can you let those go? But we have to identify them. And I think often we can't see the wood for the trees in life. So it's free. The link is in the show notes. You can go access that, download it, print it out, and then you can sit and ponder those questions and just see where they take you and what insights it helps you to glean. I'd love to hear from you, what you think of today's episode. There is an option to send me a text message in the show notes. You can also send me a voice note or a message on Instagram, which is at Emma O'Brien Coach. I am always interested to hear people's perspective on prescription meds. I am quite opinionated about it, and I'm not going to make apologies for that because I don't think when people are stuck on stuff for forever, it doesn't help solve a problem. We could get into big pharma conspiracy, but again, not an episode for today. But I think when there are alternate ways of helping people move forwards that don't require drugging their feelings into submission, we should be looking at them and talking about them. And that is what I am talking about. That is where coaching is so powerful. That is where some of the shamanic work I do is so powerful. There are other options, folks. So I invite you, if this resonates, do your research and see what other options there are available to you. Yeah, I'm going to close with that. So thank you for joining me. Love to hear from you, and I will see you at the same time next week for another episode. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you've enjoyed it, please leave me a 5-star rating and a review, and make sure you share this episode with a friend who you know will also enjoy it. I'd love to connect with you on Instagram. Please drop me a DM and say hi at Emma O'Brien Coach. And for more information about coaching with me, please head to my website, which is emmaobrien.coach.com.